This is Time's Garden, an enchanted place where mild air breathes on ancient shores, and all the toils of time have gently left unspoiled beauty. The Galapagos Enchanted Archipelago. 600 miles off the Pacific coast of Ecuador in South America, in an area of approximately 10,000 square miles, lie 50 of the most unique islands in all the world, the Galapagos. This is indeed an enchanted place because of the unique bird and marine life and plant life known nowhere else in the world. Previously almost inaccessible to man, it is now possible to fly to this amazing place and see the most important islands of the Galapagos and their unequaled inhabitants. While here, your hotel will be a luxury cruise ship, the Lena A, which departs every Tuesday and Friday from the central island of Baltra, where there is scheduled air service between the islands and the main cities of Guayaquil and Quito, Ecuador. "135 years ago, a young Charles Darwin landed on these enchanted shores after a long and hazardous journey aboard a not-so-luxurious ship, the HMS Beagle. He saw, studied, and theorized the archipelago's strange biology, and from these beginnings he developed the theory of evolution and later wrote The Origin of the Species. Few things have changed since that historic landing. Darwin found these islands teeming with naturally tamed wildlife, many species found here and nowhere else. A true nature laboratory, isolated until recent times from man. Today, the same strange islands via luxury yacht cruises combine the sights of the past with the comfort of today. This was our boat. It took us weeks to see what you can see on the Lena A in the span of a few days. Darwin said as he landed here, it seems to be a little world in itself, the greater number of its inhabitants, both vegetable and animal, being found nowhere else. Imagine, this is truly paradise for you on vacation, as well as the naturalist, who will find on the Galapagos conditions that prevail nowhere else on the earth. And the Galapagos are just as enchanted today as they were when Darwin first landed and set foot upon them. From your 60-passenger, air-conditioned cruise ship, bilingual English, Spanish-speaking guides take you ashore, where you are welcomed by the seals. Here on the plazas, you'll find such things as land iguanas, brightly colored Sally Lightfoot crabs, birds, cacti, and cool breezes. And to come here without your camera would be sad indeed, because everywhere you look, there's something you'll want to remember and capture on film. Memories that will last a lifetime. Contrast upon contrast. All of the inhabitants of these isles are instinctively tame. And as a visitor to the Galapagos, you can ensure this by seeing, enjoying, appreciating, but not molesting. When the islands were first discovered in 1535, much of the wildlife had no instinctive fear of man, whom they had never seen. In the past, however, buccaneers and whalers and other visitors killed huge numbers of iguanas, birds and tortoises, seals and other wildlife, wiping out some races entirely. Today, the archipelago is a national park, protected and cared for under Ecuadorian law. Pelicans, gray gulls, they're to be seen almost everywhere, and heard as well. There are many varieties of land iguanas, and even the colors vary from island to island. Their favorite food, succulent cactus, but they also love oranges. And could you resist sharing a part of your lunch with this handsome specimen? At the plazas, the seals sing their songs day and night when visitors are here. They love to show off and seem to really enjoy company. No zoo in the world was ever like this. Later on, we'll see penguins, the only penguins in the world living in a tropic zone, yet true penguins. The Humboldt Current is responsible for the cooling waters in certain areas. At the Charles Darwin Station at Academy Bay, many very rare races of giant tortoises are maintained to serve as a breeding nuclei. The station was established in 1959 in joint efforts of the government of Ecuador and the internationally known Charles Darwin Foundation, as well as UNESCO and other scientific organizations. The young tortoises will capture your heart and make you appreciate all the more the concerned efforts of these conservationists. On almost all of the islands, you'll see the quaint little lava lizards bobbing about. The males proud and handsome, the females with red splashed throats. They're only about 5 inches long, and you could watch them for hours. People do live and inhabit a few of the islands, and here near Academy Bay, several nuns teach school. As anywhere else, the kids love the water. As the name implies, Ecuador is crossed by the equator, but the archipelago's weather is mild and allows for summer weight clothing all year round. Mosquitoes are rare in most areas, and there's almost always plenty of sun for a good tan if you're interested, or a swim in the marvelous water. And just up the road from here, the Galapagos Hotel and host Forrest Nelson, a great storyteller and fine person. It's hard to pick a favorite island, but high on my list is Tower Island, where the frigate birds are most eye-catching. At certain times of the year during the mating season, the male frigates inflate their scarlet throat pouches to enormous size to attract the females. The soft cooing sounds of the male is contrasted by the females in young, and while the males are quite protective, their sharp curved beaks shouldn't concern you a bit. Boobies, and more boobies, red-footed, blue-footed, and masked varieties. They're seen on almost all the islands, and Tower has a good share. As with most islands, the most amazing varieties of plant life abound here. Again, many found nowhere else. About 13 varieties of Darwin finches inhabit the islands. The Galapagos Islands are actually the tops of gigantic volcanoes, most of which rise from 7,000 to 10,000 feet above the floor of the sea. The parts of the islands now exposed to view were built mainly during the last million years. When they rose, steaming out of the sea, the Galapagos were, of course, void of life. Then gradually they were colonized by wildlife from distant continents. These new inhabitants adapted themselves to the special conditions of the islands and came more and more to be different from their continental ancestors. Popularly called Floriana, Santa Maria or Charles again has its own unique citizens of nature, most spectacular of which are the flamingos. It's just a short ride from the anchorage to the salt pool, where you stand in a hushed silence as you admire the graceful birds, seemingly unaware of your presence. And here it's very important that you do not approach the birds or disturb their environment. Sadly enough, their population is decreasing. But here in their own special world, life seems so peaceful. Time and care have mirrored in this present hour a reflection of the past, with memories and fragrant shadows, with wildflower, rock, and forest path. Almost every visitor to Floriana and Post Office Bay visits the famous Post Office Barrel and deposits a letter which will, in time, be picked up by a passing ship and carried on to its destination. And even though it may take time, few letters have been lost, and this tradition over the past decades has handled some unique mail as well. Living nearby, the famed Mrs. Whitmere with her guest facilities and most unbelievable good cooking. Hood Island is unique in all the world because the Galapagos albatross nest only here. The species migrates as far as the continental coast, and even if you didn't stop here in nesting season, the island is a beauty in every other way. The masked boobies we see here are prominent around Punta Suarez, whilst the albatross prefer the other side of the island. And other attractions here include surfing seals, a blowhole of great span, mockingbirds, and another species of marine iguana. Curiosity may have killed the cat, but it didn't hurt this baby booby in the background here as we photographed his young cousin. All the mammals, birds, reptiles seem to get along well in the islands, but come feeding time, and a hungry baby booby might well break up a happy home by his oversized appetite. Because the cruise is broken up into two parts, a 4-day, 3-night cruise of the northern islands and a 5-day, 4-night cruise of the southern islands, you really can, in the span of a few days, cover the most important sights. And there's a good chance to see every significant form of wildlife if the season's right and with a little bit of good luck. And here at Hood Island, you'll spend a good half day just fascinated by the local residents of various sized nests. Cruising along the blue Pacific in air-conditioned comfort, sipping a cool drink, you'll be greeted by dozens and sometimes hundreds of porpoises and seals. They really make you feel welcome. And it doesn't take any luck at all to get a good picture of a pelican feeding. They're everywhere and quite curious too. Fernandina, Narborough, seated alongside Isabella, abounds with sea lions, seals, marine iguanas, the unique flightless cormorant, and playful penguins. A seemingly unconcerned mother seal and pup pose for a picture, while Dad, somewhere in the background, voices his views on the matter. Marco and his Nikon photographing the flightless cormorant, the bird that has lost the functional use of its wings on an oceanic archipelago where it had no enemies. And you won't believe the masses of marine iguanas until you see them with your own eyes. The only iguana in the world that swims, eats seaweed. A good part of the day they just bask in the sun, and they're right out of a science fiction movie. Other beauty spots include Barrington Island with its overfed land iguanas, healthy, happy, uninhibited. But you'll see other islands too during your cruise. The beauty of it all is that this is here now. It's all available to you, and in a manner heretofore unknown to man in this garden of nature. And here he is, the unique Galapagos penguin. A little sad, perhaps, to see us leave this veritable Garden of Eden, where time stands still, the enchanted place, the Galapagos Islands. As you leave the islands, you'll probably want to see some of the other sights of Ecuador. There are many. If you stop in Santo Domingo near Quito, you'll see the colorful Colorado Indians, living today as they have for generations. The entire family will greet you, pose for pictures, and be glad for any treat you might give them. And while this is the jungle, there's the paved highway just about a block or so away. The annual bullfights of Quito are spellbinding and color galore under clear blue skies. In the quiet, seemingly sleepy town of Otavalo, you'll find the greatest bargains in wool products and gentle, friendly Indians with their gleaming white calzones and broad smiles. Guayaquil is the bustling port city and well worth a good exploration. Ecuador is a leading exporter of bananas, and the port is visited by ships from all free nations. There's a lot to see here, and some good night spots too. Not far away, the beautiful beaches near Salinas and the great marlin fishing of Punta Carnero with the luxury resort hotel, the Carnero Inn. In Quito, the showplace of the mainland, exquisite churches, unequaled fiestas, friendly Ecuatorianos. This is a part of the famous Fiesta Quito, which takes place in December. And beyond this, the Sierras, the Avenue of the Volcanoes, the lowlands, cities like Cuenca, Riobamba, the Rio Napo, the River Amazon. So when you think of a present-day Shangri-La, remember this amazing country of contrast, Ecuador. And when you think of the world's largest and most unusual open-air park, remember the enchanted archipelago, the Galapagos. This is Bill Singer speaking.